And I made it clear to Cenk that he was invited to come on the show, and you know, we can have a debate, we can discuss whatever. I mean, you know, and he made it clear to me that he was not interested in that. He was mad. He was very, very mad about all of it. And
you're a grifter, apparently. That's the thing is look, I've worked at both
places.
Put
it this way. I'm willing to put a bet on a overseas betting market.
Yes.
I'm willing to put a bet that he won't invite me on to discuss this.
What you guys are about to see is crazy and adds completely new dimensions to this dynamic between Cenk and Sam Seder. Yeah, this clip ended our day off, guys. That's how good it is. We were trying to chill today. We were trying to smoke some bowls. You can probably tell.
It's good. It's good for you. You're confident.
Either way.
Takes
also,
the edge off.
I'm making sure to adjust my hair as much as possible, just to an obnoxious extent, in case Cenk happens to be viewing.
She'll probably go on with Silly and Billy soon.
Who cares?
And no, I know, but it'll be great because they'll be like, oh my God, you lie about her, we lie about her. Cool.
Nobody gets annoyed. Nobody gives a f what you do about your hair. Don't let Cenk get inside your head. We're getting inside Cenk's head.
I'm just kidding. That's why. That's why I was doing it, just to double down. But either way, are you ready, dude?
Yeah, let's lock and load.
Pokemon Go to Hell. Sam, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of IMs today about Cenk. I think if you haven't seen what he had to say about you, you should watch it, but I don't think it needs to be public. TYT seems to be trying to go in a different direction, and criticism should be about their coverage and policy, not about personal disputes. I yesterday did see some clips from, I guess, something that happened like on Thanksgiving or whatnot. I got to be honest, I don't really care. The last, any type of communication I had with Cenk was, I think, like in July. And it was in response to like the, I don't know, fourth or fifth thing that I had seen that I found sort of offensive and wrong. And to be honest with you, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was about trans stuff, but it could also have been about, they're chasing that fake Venezuelan story. I don't remember when it was. Maybe that was in the fall. So maybe it was not that. It was probably the trans stuff. And I made it clear to Cenk that he was invited to come on the show, and we can have a debate, we can discuss whatever. I mean, and he made it clear to me that he was not interested in that. He was mad. He was very, very mad about all of it. And I will just say, like, I didn't hear any issue that he had with the stuff that we talk about. He may have issues with me personally. That's fine. I don't care at all. I told him 8 years ago, it was in October, I remember, because I think he was at that conference. And he said, how can I get you and Jimmy to stop fighting? And I'm like, get Jimmy to learn a thing or two about what he's talking about, because he's the stuff he's saying, he's promoting Peter Thiel for the Supreme Court. He's saying that it doesn't matter who gets to appoint judges. And this is,
it's so funny too, in retrospect, now that Cenk is like publicly, shat on and burned his bridge with every leftist he at one point knew and respected. It's so funny in retrospect to hear him pearl clutch over Sam Seder's coverage of Jimmy Dore.
Who gives a shit?
2016, right? Who gives a shit, bro?
It's honestly good for his business if they bicker. That's what I don't understand. That's what Cenk doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the business that he's in anymore.
Yeah, but what he does understand is, and what he relates to, frankly, is just how thin-skinned Jimmy Dore is. And we've been telling you guys this on the show for years. The Jimmy Dore and Cenk Uygur, they're two sides of the same narcissistic coin. They're both incredibly thin-skinned. They both demand loyalty. They're both very Trumpian, quite frankly.
100%.
And we're seeing that, you know, we're seeing that come to fruition in truly crazy ways, specifically in that clip that Sam is responding to here of Cenk on Hasan, where he basically just starts to straight up defend Jimmy Dore, one of the most vile, low-life pieces of scum in this entire industry, someone that has unfairly smeared both Cenk and Anna, someone who stooped to lows in his criticisms of the Young Turks that we would never stoop to, just, you know, going into the gutter, making shit up constantly about anyone and everyone who calls him out or disagrees with him. Cenk now is defending that guy. Like I said, that absolute piece of scum, that low-life, degenerate bastard who actually leached off TYT for years after, you know, them building him up and giving him a platform. And now Cenk is on that guy's side. And he's like, how dare Sam, you know, how dare Sam have mocked and belittled Jimmy Dore and saw him for the person he actually was years before I did. That's the real sin of Sam Seder's, is the perceptiveness of identifying these fools, these grifters, and these charlatans when, you know, before Cenk does, and even now Cenk himself.
100% it said he identifies them, but here's the other thing. I think Cenk doesn't mind if you identify them. What he doesn't like is if you try and get in the middle of his boys club. And that's what Cenk believes in. He believes in the like fraternal code of like, oh yeah, you know, you like leave what another guy's eating is alone. You know what I mean? Oh, like don't leave that other guy alone. Come on, he's one of the boys. Don't with him, let him get his lunch, let him get paid, you know, let him stay on the line. But he's like, okay, like that guy's in my stable, like if you respect me, you'll leave him alone. And Sam is like, I don't respect you and I don't respect him. This is the business I'm in because I care about my beliefs, I care about my ideology. And what Cenk sees it as is how a CEO sees it, how a businessman sees it, where he's like, I have carved out my part of town, or it's honestly like it's mafiaistic.
Yep. 100%. And also, just once again, absolute insanity that Cenk Uygur refused to debate Sam Seder after being politely and, you know, respectfully, hey, want to engage, want to hash this out, want to have a productive discussion. Again, the thing that Cenk and Anna claim the left is incapable of doing, guys. How many times now have we seen proof that that's all the left is capable of doing? How many of us have begged Cenk and Anna to have a respectful discussion and hash this out? Even their own former employees like Lance and Benny, who left the network or were fired, said, hey, can we at least please hash this out? Can you at least give us the opportunity to push back live on air and share our perspective in a respectful way? They said, nope, we're not interested in it. We're just going to turn around and lie about you and pretend that progressives are thin-skinned snowflakes who can't handle discourse and only want to cancel everyone who disagrees with them. It's total projection. Like I said, Sam Seder is now what, the fourth, fifth person we found out about who has earnestly tried in good faith to engage Cenk and Anna in a discussion to try to change their minds and try to hash out this in the marketplace of ideas. We've been told by Mike from the Humanist Report that he tried to do that. We've been told by Benny, Lance, now Sam Seder.
And this is, you know, this is going to be a disaster. And by that point, he was also talking that Hillary Clinton had Parkinson's and that Seth Rich was assassinated by
This is Jimmy Dore that he's talking about.
the Clintons. And, you know, my attitude was like, you could criticize Hillary Clinton, and you should, but when you promote right-wing memes like that, you are doing a disservice. It doesn't matter the other stuff you're talking about. You're basically promoting right-wing memes
Even
and
if you're
narratives and
even
whatnot.
if within your coverage, right, for Jimmy, even if you bake in some plausible deniability. I mean, I've always maintained that what you cover is just as important.
Well, that's what editorial. That's the
right.
editorial decisions
Editorial
you make.
discretion, right? So, like, in any issues we've had with that Venezuela story, which now has been thoroughly debunked.
Any apology about that?
None. It doesn't seem to be the case. But like,
No correction. We inquired about it directly.
that you know, even if you're saying, okay, you know, there's nuance in this story, it's about what you choose to cover and what you choose to give credibility to, or assign some sort of kind of.
When you do one story like that.
Yes.
I mean, yes. Now, you know, TYT was built on a certain amount of sensationalism. That's fine. I think it's helpful. You know, we do.
Vanguard approves of sensationalism over here.
Like we have the fun. We have the fun half. And so, you know, that I understand that. But when you promote a right-wing narrative and you focus on a story, and I've told this story about Rush Limbaugh, you know, focusing on, like, I remember this vividly. He was talking about, like, all the enviros are worried about so-called global warming. And he found this story about like they put this reflective stuff on a glacier in the Swiss Alps because they wanted. And then as he's reading it, he hadn't read it carefully, but he looked for that one tiny story that he thought would promote a narrative, a false narrative. And it actually happened that it was the ski resort that did it because they were trying to deal with all the melting of their glaciers. But the point being that, like, and so I took issue with that with him, and I am perfectly willing to go on his show and talk about, debate any of this. I have no problem with that at all. He doesn't want to come on this one? Fine. I'm willing to go on his. But I don't
Sam Seder throws the gauntlet down. Will Coward Cenk respond to challenge?
care about the rest of the stuff that he says. He can introduce me as whatever he wants to introduce me as, but if he's willing to have an engagement on questions of like crime, on questions as to whether like there's something fundamentally different about MAGA or the Republican Party today than there was 8 years ago when I know he was vehemently against it. Whatever. I'm willing to discuss that. I'm willing to discuss trans issues. I'm willing to discuss crime issues in the way that they played in this. I'm willing to discuss, whether he thinks that we are extremists. I would also say the dirtbag left was this different cohort than us. I mean,
Yeah, he does. Sam is friendly with the dirtbag left, who we're happy to speak on behalf of. There's no Zoomer dirtier and baggier than me and Gavin over here. But it is true that there is much less crossover between the Majority Report and the Chapo dirtbag left than there used to be. And Chapo is kind of the old guard of the dirtbag left. That's for like millennials who, work at law firms now and don't really believe in anything. The people who are still the proletariat and on the up and up, that's what the Vanguard is for. One day we'll get a New Yorker article about how we cost Kamala the election, and then we're going to be millionaires too.
I think that was more like the Chapo and Come Town and this and that. But I don't care about that either. None of that's important. I'm happy to go on that show at any time and debate these issues. But after that, I don't care about any of this. Honestly, it's a waste of my time. And
Yeah.
so
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
I understand. I
Close that
understand
tab.
that they were sponsored by.
Well, you're
by
And I do kind of disagree. Sam's like, I don't care about this. Like, I'll debate them, but it doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters at least as much as the other right-wing commentators you guys cover, people like Dave Rubin, people like Tim Pool. Cenk and Anna are on the same arc, like I said. And if anything, it's even more nefarious what they're doing because they're not being fully honest about what they are. And they are probably tricking a lot of liberal people and a lot of kind of comfortable leftists who are willing to be persuaded to go down a dark path. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, they're at a place psychologically where it doesn't take much to push them down the red pill path. And if one of the 3 shows you watch is TYT, one of the 2 or 3 or 4 shows you watch is TYT, and all of a sudden they're saying this crap, yeah, even if it's subconscious, it's going to give you that permission to go right wing. So I think it's even more nefarious because unlike Dave Rubin, who at this point is basically in an echo chamber, and Dennis Prager, the people that they talk about a lot on the Majority Report, unlike those people who kind of are in an echo chamber, I'm not denying that they're influential and nefarious, but TYT, what they're doing, it's really bad for the movement, guys. It's really bad for left-wing independent media. It's really bad for whatever remnants of the Bernie Sanders movement still remains and any hope of resurrecting something like that, because TYT was important. And unfortunately, we're trying to change that, but TYT sets the tone for a lot of online, liberal, left-wing, whatever you want to call it, media. Like I said, less and less so. We've documented that, and we're trying to change it as much as possible to prevent any nefarious outcomes. But yeah, this is definitely worth talking about.
I totally agree with you. We often cite our favorite Bible verse here on the Vanguard, one that we live by, Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man. And it is he who shepherded the weak through the valley of darkness, and he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. That would represent Sam Seder over here. But most of you guys didn't ever stick around, for Ezekiel, 26. And unfortunately, that is the path of the unrighteous man. And it is he who shepherds the weak to the valley of darkness. And that is Cenk Uygur's mission right now. And I think that's just essentially what he's doing, guys. It is him who will be the first offering, the red pill, right? The purple pill is actually coming from Cenk. It's Cenk's purple pill. That's what I'm calling it right now. And it's exactly how, Gavin, you phrased it so brilliantly. You called it permission. And that's, you know what? Say something for societal shame. Okay, we used to have a little bit of shame in this country. Well, we used to have a lot of shame in this country. I admit the Leave It to Beaver shit was a little much. Okay, I get it. You can dress however you want. You can put tattoos on your face. I don't care about that. Fuck whoever you want. But when it comes to our politics, shame matters. Okay, we have to make some things gauche. We have to make some things taboo and unacceptable, right? And trampling on other people and locking them up in jail. It's one of the things that I tend to be like, not going to exist on my communist utopia. You know what I mean? And I don't know. We can keep playing this, but essentially what we're watching here is we're watching a regression, right? We're watching,
Cenk.
Yeah, we're watching him go from Samuel L. Jackson to, Quentin Tarantino with his cup of coffee. He knows how good it tastes. Yeah, when my wife buys the coffee, she buys shit. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. Okay, what I want to talk about is, some expletives that only Cenk probably says in private around his house. Anyway, let's hear from Sam.
Really decoded that situation for anyone that was mystified.
Anybody who needed a little bit of Zach now, if you guys ever wondered how my brain works, you guys were welcome to be, I'm painting a real rich tapestry for you guys.
No.
Everybody's got, you've seen Pulp Fiction. Everybody knows 2517 is the path of the righteous man. Anyway, I'm providing clarity for all of you, but it's clarity in the way that, you might get from a dense book. Okay, I'm sorry, but you guys have to read between the lines.
You're a grifter, apparently. That's the thing is look, I've worked at both
I live
places.
this way. I'm willing to put a bet on a overseas betting market.
Yes.
I'm willing to put a bet that he won't invite me on to discuss this.
I mean,
Well,
look,
can I just make a quick point?
Yeah.
The whole Venezuela story, which people should watch, Jose is it Jose
Great
not a
video.
J on YouTube or Jose on YouTube's takedown of that? Very good, long, in-depth thing they should apologize for. But they didn't cover it because they cared about the state of what was going on in Colorado. They did it because they wanted to throw shade at all the left media who doesn't take these crime stories at face value like they want to.
yeah, and then taking it at face value, I think showed itself. It's just like crazy to me. I mean, look, I didn't see all of it. I did see when he called you a grifter, and I think if we're grifting, we're doing a pretty bad job. But like the notion that you bring up Jimmy, I think he has a misunderstanding of what you were even communicating when you're saying you're trying to take Jimmy's audience. Like, you're not trying to say you want to take it so that you make more money. I think we've been kind of hands off with this stuff with TYT because largely we don't like to really go after our allies. Usually and especially because I had personal relationships there, but we get IMs and people want us to respond to it. And increasingly we're going to have to because they have decided that they're basically kind of doing a much more, I would say, centrist channel at this point. And so when they're giving credibility to right-wing talking points, we want to respond to that, not because we're trying to make money. And I know, and
I'd
same
like to
thing with
announce
Jimmy
Matt
Dore.
Pack. I got a new political action committee that I'd like to announce.
Not to make money or running for president or whatever. Like, not to do any of that, but to basically try to de-radicalize people by mocking them and by changing their minds. When you were talking about Jimmy, and I know this because we've had these conversations and because we do it with right-wingers, it's because you have to combat these bad ideas head on and try to change people's minds in that regard. And Jimmy has shown himself is.
I love the way Emma articulated that. And what's specifically depressing about this whole situation is that no one used to understand that more than Cenk Uygur himself, Zach. I'm sure a lot of you guys won't remember this era of TYT, but it actually used to be the case that TYT loved triggering Republicans so much. They loved triggering the right so much that at the end of every TYT video, it would say, send this video to a Republican you know, just to get under their skin, you know, because Cenk's whole, like the whole appeal was just how much he
could trigger the right.
Yeah,
it was their
beautiful.
response to triggering the libs. It was their response to being like, go back to your safe space, snowflake. It was awesome. It was the antidote. It was the foil. And now he's completely pivoted to being just like, oh no, I'm part of the problem too. Like, you might as well be Greg Gutfeld. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And one of our favorite phrases on the show is that, you know, honey catches more flies than vinegar, but you're going to catch even more with a fly swatter. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And you have to take that approach on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Not at the dinner table with your grandma who's you know, maybe spouting off about the immigrants at the border. You know, you don't want to flip the table upside down and spill the gravy all over the wall. You know what I'm saying? To make your point. But on YouTube, yeah, especially when you're on the left and you're outnumbered, you're outgunned, you're outfunded. Yeah, you got to fight fire with fire. You got to get in the freaking gutter, bro. You have to. And you have to realize that, yeah, you're not going to catch more flies with honey. You got to break out the fly swatter. What this is about, it ultimately is about the ideas. And when it comes to that debate that Sam Seder is proposing with Cenk Uygur, yeah, I agree with him. Cenk's probably not going to take it because he knows Sam's right. And that's what ultimately is the point here, is that we are right. Not just the majority report, not just Zach and I, the left,
the progressive left,
we are right. We don't hold the positions we hold because we want to be virtuous or because we want to be the wokest people out here and pat ourselves on the back. That's not what attracts us to leftism, guys. You guys can probably tell that Zach and I aren't exactly the most fragile or soft-spoken individuals.
Bro, I'm sorry too, bro, but I've taken a lot of shit. I'll say what I want.
Exactly. The point is, though, we advocate for these positions because they're the correct ones, because they're the actual solutions to the problem our society faces. Like, Cenk wants to act like, oh, like you just want to be woke and the majority of Democratic voters don't agree with you. And it's like, yeah, we're trying to get them to agree with us on the issues where they don't. And again, it's not because we're virtuous. It's because these solutions are the correct one. We actually want to solve the homelessness issue that you care so much about. The left is actually interested in bringing down the cost of rent. We're the ones proposing the solutions that will bring down homelessness nationwide, without a doubt, empirically, factually proven over and over and over again. But he wants to act like we're the ones incapable of debating, that we're the snowflakes, that we're the ones that want to cancel everyone. Meanwhile, again, now, how many times has Sam Seder challenged Cenk Uygur to a debate? Now we have it on air, but we know it's happened in private as well. And this bitch, this coward, refuses to step into the ring. Why? Because he knows he's wrong.
He's running. He's on the bike. Get off the bike, Cenk. Face your fears. Get in the octagon of reason with Sam Seder.